You see, life is not a script, and we are not actors bound by preordained roles. A woman who walks alone is not incomplete, nor is she waiting for someone to come along and fill the empty spaces. She is, in fact, discovering that the spaces were never empty to begin with. She is learning the truth that everything she needs is already here within her. There is an undeniable power in choosing to walk a path alone. In a world that often praises togetherness and companionship, solitude is sometimes misunderstood as a sign of weakness or incompleteness. Yet solitude is a space where one discovers the profound depths of their own strength. It is in this space, free from the distractions of others' expectations, that a person begins to understand themselves fully. When a woman walks alone, without the defined role of a partner to lean on or share the journey with, she creates an opportunity to explore her inner world in ways that might not have been possible within the confines of societal norms. In solitude, she learns resilience. She faces challenges without immediately seeking someone else to fix them, finding instead her own solutions and building her confidence with each obstacle overcome. She learns to navigate the complexities of life not as a reflection of someone else's needs or desires, but as an affirmation of her own. This independence becomes a quiet but potent force. It teaches her that she is capable, that she can stand firm in the face of adversity, and that she is her own sanctuary. Without the constant input of others, she can hear her own voice more clearly. Solitude strips away the noise of the external world, the opinions, judgments, and pressures, and replaces it with the clarity of self-awareness. It is in this silence that she finds her truth. She begins to understand her desires, her fears, and her strengths without the distortion of external influence. This self-knowledge becomes a compass, guiding her decisions and allowing her to walk her path with intention and authenticity. Through solitude, she also develops a relationship with the world around her that is unmediated by others. She notices the small details, the rustle of leaves in the wind, the way sunlight dances across a room, the rhythm of her own breath. In these moments, she experiences life in its raw, unfiltered beauty. The absence of another person does not diminish these experiences. Instead, it amplifies them, allowing her to fully immerse herself in the present moment. Solitude fosters creativity and introspection. With no one to define her or impose their vision of who she should be, she is free to explore her potential. Ideas that might have been overshadowed by the demands of a relationship can now flourish. She has the freedom to dream, to create, and to pursue her passions without compromise. This process of self-creation is both liberating and empowering. As she walks alone, she learns to embrace uncertainty. There is no predetermined script, no one else dictating the direction. This can be daunting, but it is also exhilarating. She discovers that life's unpredictability is not something to fear, but something to explore with curiosity and courage. In choosing solitude, she is not turning away from the world, she is engaging with it on her own terms, discovering the depths of her strength and the endless possibilities of her journey. The world has long been shaped by narratives that dictate how life should unfold, particularly for women. Among these is the story that a woman's fulfillment lies in marriage, that her value is intertwined with the presence of a partner to walk alongside her. Yet the act of walking alone without a husband or the traditional framework of a relationship challenges these deeply ingrained notions. It is a quiet rebellion not born of anger or defiance, but of a profound understanding that life cannot and should not be confined to a single story. To break a narrative is to question its origin. Where did the idea arise that a woman's completeness depends on someone else? When examined, such ideas often reveal themselves as constructs born of cultural traditions, shaped by a need for order and predictability in a society that once feared change. But a narrative, no matter how long-standing, is not an absolute truth. It is simply a lens through which people have been taught to view the world. Walking alone dismantles that lens, offering a new perspective that allows a woman to see her life as her own creation, not a role written for her by others. This breaking of narratives is not always met with understanding. Family, friends, and even strangers may project their discomfort onto her choice, interpreting her independence as loneliness or failure. Yet the power of breaking a narrative lies in the willingness to endure misunderstanding, to stand firm in the knowledge that the path she walks is authentic and true to her. In doing so, she becomes a mirror that reflects the limitations of societal expectations, inviting others to question the stories they have accepted as fact. Walking alone allows her to redefine success and happiness on her own terms. The traditional narrative often ties these concepts to external achievements: a ring on the finger, a partner by her side, a home shared with another. But when she steps away from these measures, she discovers a deeper, more personal definition of fulfillment. Success might be the peace she feels when she wakes up in the morning, the joy of pursuing her passions without compromise, or the freedom of living a life that aligns with her values. Breaking narratives also opens the door to a more expansive view of love. Traditional stories often confine love to the context of romance and partnership, but Walking Alone reveals that love is much broader. It is in the connections she forms with friends, family, and even strangers. It is in the way she treats herself with compassion and care. It is in her relationship with the world, in the sunsets she admires, and the moments of stillness she cherishes. Love, she learns, is not something that completes her, it is something that flows through her, ever present and abundant. Through the act of breaking narratives, she reclaims her story. She becomes the author of her own life, free to write a tale that reflects her unique journey. In doing so, she not only liberates herself but also inspires others to see that there is no single way to live, no singular path to fulfillment. When a woman walks alone without a partner, it is often perceived as isolation, a retreat from society, or a sign of something missing. Yet what appears to be isolation from the outside is often an act of integration on the inside. This is not about withdrawing from life, but about weaving oneself into its intricate fabric in a deeper and more authentic way. It is about aligning the inner world with the outer, finding harmony within oneself that extends to all aspects of existence. To integrate is to understand that solitude is not an empty space, but a full one. It is a sanctuary where she can reconnect with her essence, unfiltered by the demands or influences of others. In this space, she learns to be with herself, to confront her thoughts, and to embrace her emotions without judgment. Rather than seeking someone else to complete her, she realizes that she is already whole. Integration is the process of acknowledging that her wholeness was never lost. It was simply waiting to be recognized. Through integration, she begins to see her place in the larger story of life. While walking alone might seem like an individual act, it is deeply connected to the collective experience of being human. She recognizes that her journey, though uniquely hers, is intertwined with the journeys of others. This understanding fosters empathy and compassion, not just for herself, but for all beings. She does not isolate herself from the world, rather, she discovers that she is part of it in ways she may not have previously understood. Integration also means embracing both light and shadow. In solitude, there is no one to distract her from the parts of herself she might prefer to avoid. This can be uncomfortable, but it is also profoundly healing. By facing her fears, insecurities, and vulnerabilities, she begins to understand that these aspects are not flaws, but integral pieces of her humanity. They are not obstacles to be overcome, but truths to be accepted. This acceptance is the foundation of true strength. It is not about erasing what is difficult, but about holding it with grace and courage. This inner work creates a ripple effect. As she integrates her own being, she becomes more connected to the world around her. She begins to see the interconnectedness of all things, the way her actions influence others and the environment. Her solitude becomes a bridge, not a barrier, allowing her to engage with life in a more meaningful and conscious way. The relationships she forms are no longer driven by need or fear, but by genuine connection and mutual respect. What emerges from this process is a sense of belonging that transcends traditional roles or societal expectations. She does not need a title, a partner, or a specific identity to feel rooted in the world. Her sense of self is no longer defined by external markers, but by an internal alignment that resonates with everything around her. This is the beauty of integration. It transforms solitude from a state of being alone into a state of being whole, connected, and fully alive. Love, as it is often portrayed, is a story of finding completion in another person. It is described as a quest, a partnership, a fulfillment of desires, and an anchor in the storm of life. Yet for the woman who walks alone without a husband, love takes on a different meaning. It is not something she seeks to obtain or a condition placed upon her relationships. It is an essence she discovers within herself and the world around her. This redefinition of love is not a rejection of romantic connection, but an expansion of what love truly is. In solitude, love becomes less about possession and more about presence. It is not a contract or an exchange of expectations, but an experience of being fully alive. The woman who walks alone learns to see love in the simple, everyday moments, the warmth of sunlight on her face, the sound of rain on a quiet evening, the peace of her own breath. These moments remind her that love is not confined to relationships or grand gestures. It exists in the fabric of life itself, woven into the ordinary and extraordinary alike. Without the framework of traditional romantic expectations, love transforms into an act of self-discovery. She begins to cultivate a relationship with herself, one built on compassion, patience, and understanding. This self-love is not vanity or selfishness, but a deep acknowledgement of her inherent worth. She learns to care for herself as she would for a dear friend, recognizing her needs, forgiving her mistakes, and celebrating her growth. This internal relationship becomes the foundation for how she interacts with the world, allowing her to give and receive love freely without fear or insecurity. Love, in this broader sense, also transcends the boundaries of human connection. She finds it in her appreciation for nature, her engagement with art, and her moments of stillness. She recognizes the interconnectedness of all things, seeing love as the invisible thread that binds everything together. This perspective shifts her understanding of relationships, not just with people, but with life itself. It is no longer about seeking completion, but about participating in a shared experience of existence. In redefining love, she also redefines strength and vulnerability. Love is no longer about clinging to someone for support or shielding herself from pain. It is about opening her heart to the world with courage and trust, knowing that love is abundant and infinite. This openness allows her to form connections that are honest and meaningful, unburdened by fear or expectation. She is not diminished by solitude. Instead, she becomes a source of love that radiates outward, touching everything and everyone she encounters. This redefinition of love does not negate the beauty of partnership or intimacy. Instead, it places them within a larger context, where they are one expression of a vast and boundless force. By walking alone, she learns that love is not something she lacks or seeks. It is something she already possesses, something that flows through her as naturally as breath. This realization transforms her understanding of life itself, turning every moment into an opportunity to experience love in its purest and most profound form. Freedom in choice is a profound and empowering realization, particularly for the woman who walks alone without the traditional framework of a husband or partner. It is an act of reclaiming her autonomy, stepping away from the societal scripts that often dictate how life should unfold. To choose her own path, free from the weight of expectation, is not just an act of independence. It is a celebration of her ability to create a life that reflects her truth. When she embraces freedom in choice, she is no longer confined by the narratives that suggest she must follow a specific timeline or fulfill certain roles. Society may whisper that a woman's purpose is tied to being a wife, a partner, or a caretaker. But she recognizes that these are options, not obligations. The freedom to choose means she can redefine her identity on her own terms, exploring the fullness of who she is without external pressure to conform. This freedom is both exhilarating and challenging. It requires her to face the uncertainties of life without a predetermined map, There is no safety net of tradition or societal approval, but in its place is a vast expanse of possibility. She learns to trust her instincts, to make decisions that resonate with her deepest values and desires. This process of decision-making is not about avoiding risks, but about embracing the unknown with courage and curiosity. Every choice she makes becomes an expression of her authenticity, a step toward a life that feels uniquely her own. Freedom in choice also liberates her from the need for validation. She no longer seeks approval for her decisions, whether from family, friends, or society. Instead, she learns to listen to her inner voice, the quiet but unwavering guide that knows what is right for her. This self-reliance is not born of arrogance, but of a deep trust in her ability to navigate life's complexities. She understands that her worth is not contingent on the opinions of others, but on the alignment of her actions with her truth. In this freedom, she also discovers the beauty of change. Without the constraints of a fixed path, she can evolve, grow, and adapt as her journey unfolds. She is not bound by the decisions of her past or the expectations of her future. Each day offers a new opportunity to choose again, to reassess what matters most, and to adjust her course accordingly. This fluidity allows her to embrace life as a dynamic and ever-changing experience, one that is rich with potential and discovery. Her freedom in choice extends beyond her own life, influencing how she relates to others. She does not seek relationships out of need or obligation, but out of genuine connection and mutual respect. She chooses her companions, her commitments, and her priorities with intentionality, creating a life that reflects her deepest values. This freedom allows her to love more openly, to give without expectation, and to build relationships that are rooted in equality and authenticity. In the end, freedom in choice is not about isolation, but about empowerment. It is the ability to live fully, to embrace the richness of life, and to create a path that is uniquely her own. It is a declaration that her life is hers to shape, not by the hands of tradition or expectation, but by her own vision and courage. Life is often framed as a series of destinations, each one a marker of success or fulfillment. From early on, people are taught to set goals, to achieve milestones, and to arrive at the next stage as quickly as possible. Yet, for the woman who walks alone, the focus shifts away from these destinations. Her journey is not about reaching a specific point or conforming to a predetermined path, but about experiencing the richness of life as it unfolds. The journey itself becomes her destination, a continuous process of growth, discovery, and presence. As she walks, she begins to notice the moments that are often overlooked when one is solely focused on where they are going. The subtle beauty of her surroundings, the rhythm of her steps, and the quiet interplay of thoughts and emotions become her companions. Each moment holds its own value, not as a means to an end, but as a complete experience in and of itself. She learns to savor these moments, to fully inhabit them, and to see them as the essence of life. The journey teaches her patience. There is no rush to get somewhere or to meet a specific expectation. Without the pressure of deadlines or the weight of others' judgments, she can move at her own pace. She understands that life does not need to be hurried, that the act of walking, of simply being, is enough. In this slowing down, she finds a deeper connection to herself and the world around her. She learns that there is a time for everything, and that her path will unfold naturally when she allows herself to trust the process. Uncertainty becomes a companion rather than a foe. The journey itself is filled with unknowns, with twists and turns that cannot always be anticipated or controlled. But instead of fearing what lies ahead, she embraces it. The unpredictability of the path becomes a source of excitement and possibility. She learns to adapt, to let go of rigid expectations, and to find joy in the surprises that life presents. In doing so, she becomes resilient, discovering a strength within herself that she might never have known otherwise. The journey also offers her the opportunity to reflect. As she walks, she can look back on where she has been, not with regret or longing, but with gratitude for the experiences that have shaped her. Each step, each decision, and each moment of joy or struggle contributes to her growth. She realizes that the path she has traveled, with all its imperfections, is uniquely hers. It is not about perfection or comparison, but about authenticity and self-discovery. Through this process, she begins to see life as a series of interconnected moments rather than a linear path. Each step is both a continuation of what came before and a preparation for what lies ahead. The journey itself is cyclical, constantly offering new beginnings and opportunities to learn, grow, and connect. In walking her own path, she learns to embrace the present, knowing that it is the only place where life truly exists.